your information in that fashion. And I think what you did was you ended up validating a lot of things that we've been seeing. And as you know, in the meeting that we had a lot of common ground in terms of our interpretations of what's going on, and particularly in our interpretations of where the gaps are. Tons and tons of gaps, all up and down the situation. And by gaps, I'm talking about data gaps. Gaps in our knowledge about what's in the gas, or what was in the gas during the actual blowout, and even before that. We have gaps in our knowledge of what you may have been exposed to long before this actual disaster occurred. And there may be continued gaps, should they start repressurizing the field, which is, of course, something that we're all against. And we have gaps about the nature of your exposure, depending on where you live, depending on what chronic disease you may have had before that, and the differences in the kinds of symptoms that people were having along the way. So I share all that with you, and I'm with you on that. Now, when it comes to how do we move forward from that? The bottom line is that we do need, as Isam said, a very comprehensive, long-term health study, because we need a way for an independent organization to be able to establish and bridge those gaps and try to determine how did we get from A to Z. Right now we're looking at A to Z with maybe 24 missing letters, right? That's basically what we're looking at. And so what we're advocating for at Public Health is to make sure that the proper health study gets done. As I know that you're all aware, the settlement between the gas company and the air district basically boiled down to now a $1 million non-health study. Right? It's not a health study. They wrote health study on the paper. It's not a health study. It doesn't come even close to representing a health study. It doesn't even come close to starting a health study, in my opinion. And I think in Jeff's opinion as well, it doesn't even come close to even scratching the surface of what needs to be done here. And what they outlined in their scope of work doesn't make any sense to me, as a scientist, as a toxicologist, as a medical doctor, or even as a common sense human being. So when I see that, you can say at the very least we were displeased at the health department. What I can say is that we are exploring every possible avenue to get that study done. We're not going to lie on that $1 million. Well, we're exploring that opportunity as well. So we have all of our lawyers working on this situation to try to figure out how to get that done. We're going to try to figure out if there are other ways that it can be done even outside of the court system as well. Are there ways that we can corral the appropriate kinds of grant money to be able to basically do it on the side so that we don't have to worry about the court system. So we're exploring all of those options because that's the study that needs to be done. Just to give you an idea about the scale of the study that we're thinking about, we met with a number of different experts from the Air District, from EPA, from the Air Resources Board, from the Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment, several professors from some of our area universities as well. And we all got on conference calls and we had meetings to determine what would be the scope of the kind of health study that would be necessary in a situation like this. And it would be a very, very intensive epidemiologic and medical health study that would take place over probably the first 2 or 3 years, and then after that, it would probably extend then for another 7 to 10 years. That's the kind of study that we want, and that's the kind of study that you deserve. And that's the only kind of study that's going to get to the bottom of what's been going on here. $1 million is going to get you there. And so that's not a health study as far as we're concerned. So that's the study that we're after. And the estimate is that's the kind of study that would be somewhere in the order of about 35, 40, maybe even $45 million. That's the kind of study that needs to be done. So 35 is the low end estimate. And if we got 35, we could do it. If we got 45, we could do it even better. But that's the scale that we're looking at. And that's what we're going to be pursuing. So it was extremely unfortunate that they came to that settlement. It was not our understanding that that's the way it was going, because we seem to all be in agreement as experts over the past several months that this is the kind of study that was going to be done. And then we were all kind of blindsided by this settlement, which turned out to be just $1 million of nothing.
Sorry, just a quick question. Blindsided? You guys had no input on accepting the $1 million?
Right, we weren't even part of that.
None whatsoever. You were not
Zero.
consulted? Did you put forward what your study should be and what it would cost?
Yeah, so what we did
and
is
AMQMD said, we're just going to get $1 million and be happy?
Right, so this is where...
Can't be nice here, gentlemen. Cannot be nice here.
I understand. Yeah, we are we're still trying to connect the dots and all that. We, like I said, we got together with all those other agencies, all those other experts to put together what we thought would be a reasonable scope of work for that study. And the settlement came between, it was the Air District, Air Quality Management District, and the gas company. It was their court case. So we weren't a part of that at all. And it was our understanding all along that the Air District was going to be pushing for that study to be done, and meeting the original $35+ million study. And then the settlement came down, and everyone was blindsided. Everyone. Us and every single expert who contributed to that scope of work.
I'm sorry, I've been in business 25 years. I cannot accept that response, that everybody was blindsided.
We were.
I just, it's not.
There's no way we would have agreed to anything less. You're right. You're absolutely right. It's not logical. I have no idea how it went down that way.
Well, why don't we? Okay, look, you're a physician. Okay, something happened in a back room and a deal was cut.
Yes.
Okay, that is so wrong.
You're correct.
In people's lives.
You're absolutely correct.
And there are a lot of gaps.
Yes.
They can simply be closed by doing test and control. You're never going to fill all the gaps, doctor. You never will.
Right. Yeah.
Test and control. And
Right.
if Porter Ranch swings to one end, away from a standard deviation,
Right.
Okay.
You're singing our song.
You know you got something.
Right. You're absolutely singing our song. That's a study that was. Well, no, we want to do the real test. We want to do the real study.
I'm sorry, but the test that I took, $200. $200.
Right, but we want to do tests that are going to be meaningful, right?
It's a meaningful test.
Well, okay, but we want to make sure that we're going to be doing something meaningful for the entire community.
I
We
understand.
can't just analyze one person.
So if you
right?
take a bunch of people, too bad you didn't do it a year ago, but if you do it even now, these are in our fat cells. So they're still coming out, and if they're going to test positive, even
Well, those are things we can. Those are things we would have to talk about. Those are things we'd have to talk about with experts to know which way to go with that. But what I'm talking about is something that's much larger scale, right? We're talking about an entire population-based study to try to determine every factor that might be involved with contributing to why people are continuing to have symptoms. If no one was having symptoms after the leak was shut down, then I'd say, great, we're all in good shape. But people are continuing to have symptoms. We need to determine why that is.
Because once you determine that they have it, once you can see the test,
right? But what I'm saying, it doesn't complete the story, right? We need much more than what you're saying to complete the story.
But in the
because
meantime,
if someone had benzene swimming around in their blood, that's not going to make your nose bleed, right?
the symptoms are there based on the fact that they have this stuff in them. Okay, so once you determine, and if you took this group here and just did $200 for everybody to get tested, and you found out that everybody had high levels of those VOCs in there, and that they're having the symptoms, it would correlate. And then compare them to the other people in Los Angeles. Then you can do a huge study. I'm just concerned about the people and getting it out of their systems.
I understand that. But there's a lot to be discussed in terms of those physiologic issues. But what I'm saying is that we can't just scratch the surface. We need to have the big study, which can include all of this, right? But it's got to include a lot more than that. It can't. So what you're saying is the kind of thing that can be done for a few $100s here or there for a few people, but it doesn't complete the story. It's not going to complete the story of why people are having the symptoms that they're currently having, and what to do about them, and how to hold the gas company responsible.
You can do a huge. I'm just saying that to start off, $200 per person is not that much.
Right, but we want to make sure that we get some yield for that, right? So in other words, you can get benzene levels in a lot of people, and you can find that people have high benzene levels, but to correlate that with symptoms is an actually extraordinarily difficult thing to do, right? You can go to a gas station, and I can test your benzene right after that, and you'll have a high spiking benzene level, right? That can happen to just about anybody.
But not ethylbenzene, styrene, toluene.
Sure can, because all those things are at gas stations
well,
too.
yeah, if you sit there and you breathe it all day long, right? But
Understand.
I don't work at a gas
station. But here's my point, is that we can talk about all those things, and all those things can be part of a comprehensive study, but we need the comprehensive study. We can't do a nickel and dime study here, because if we do, you're not going to get the answers that you need. All we're going to do is raise more questions, right? So we need the big study. We need the $35 to $40 million study. That's what we're pursuing. If we can lock that in, then we'll be in good shape, right? But if we...
Can I ask a favor? There's a number of people waiting to ask their questions.
I'd love to talk to you.
We can talk offline if there's no problem. Yeah, absolutely.
So I'd like to get back, Dr. Nordella, and any questions that you have for him that you want to say to him. So let's get back to the process, please. Dr. Nordella, would you please step up? Thank you.
As the daughter of a father who died of mesothelioma, which is exposure to asbestos, decades after he was exposed to it, I'm very sensitive to this issue of being exposed. I've lived in Puerto Ranch since 1991. I'm about a mile from the well, and I did evacuate as soon as they let us. And we had our house cleaned extensively when I came back. So since we've come back, we haven't had symptoms, but I did have the same blood panel that you had up there with a doctor, with my lawyer, and I can share that with you. The one thing they noticed on me on the chest x-ray was they said my lungs showed a little inflation. And they weren't sure what that meant, that if I could get asthma later or it could be starting something. That was interesting to me. The second thing is I had the American gut, my biome in my intestines analyzed. And it's kind of out of whack with other people with a similar diet, similar gender, similar BMI, similar age. Are you looking at people's biome? It cost about $100. Is that something that can be indicative of things you've been exposed to, or bacteria that bloom, or things like that?
No, I'm not. What my issue is to start with a baseline.
Okay.
Because of the chronicity of this issue, to start with a baseline, such as your chest x-ray, which hyperinflation can mean a lot of things. It could be COPD, emphysema, could be asthma, could be a radiologist that overread it, or whatever. But in regards to these specific with the GI, no, I haven't. We've looked at the liver, which is part of the system, but as far as bacteria and so forth, no.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
The one thing that wasn't on your list that I'm suffering from, and I'm not sure if it's related, and my doctor doesn't think it is since June I've had this unexplained wrist pain. And I know a few other people who live in this area who also have that, so I don't know if it's worth bugging about it. I mean, I do have bronchial problems now and other things that you listed, and so does my husband has some problems too that you listed, but I'm not sure if this, he says it might be just from overuse, but I've had carpal tunnel, I know how to treat that, and I've been on mega doses of Advil since then. And that has not, I wake up every few hours from pain, and I don't know if it's anything related.
Is it only in your wrist?
It's only right here in my wrist.
First of all, that needs to be worked up. You need a diagnosis for that. Is it just an isolated tendinitis? They call it decubitus tendinosynovitis from on thumb issues and so forth, that you have these two tendons here. Or if you're having it in any other place in the body. Okay, so if it's just there now, could it progress? The possibility is yes. Is this associated? I'm just starting to see patients, as patients are coming forward, patients with rheumatological issues. If they've been diagnosed prior, they seem to exacerbate, and some new. So whether it's related to the gas, again, it's tough to cause a causation.
Okay, I just want to make sure it was, because I know my bronchitis and all that is related, because every time the fence line goes crazy, I have to get out my asthma inhaler. So, and my husband just got diagnosed with high blood pressure, and he's like the healthiest eater, active and all that, so we think it's related. But anyway, the one thing is not really for you, but I'm wondering, are there someone representing any elected officials in this audience at all? Did they come?
Yes, they are there, and
great.
we are waiting patiently to let the member of the public finish their questions, and we're going to ask them if they have something they'd like to say.
Because we've been screaming from the heavens for the past year that we need cell-powered gas to release that list, that comprehensive list of everything that's been used in that well. And we keep saying it every hearing I've gone to, and every hearing oh, you should consider that maybe something other than methane might be causing people to be so sick. So I think this is for them to say this is proprietary, I think that is total BS because this is a public health issue right now and we need to get something done. I think you elected officials can, your offices can do something about it, maybe pass a bill, I don't know, but this is a critical thing. We already have cancer cases. We already have lots of us who've been diagnosed with bronchitis, asthma, all sorts of things. We need to have those chemicals. We need to have what exactly spewed out of that well. We know oil did because it was all over everyone's cars, right? We all had to clean our cars, our houses from that. And I live 3.28 miles from the gas thing. And I know if I was getting stuff in my car, people closer were. So we need to know, rather than shot in the dark testing. And we even asked the public health department in May about that. And they said, oh, we can't force them. But without this information, how can we move forward? How can our doctors treat us? So I think that's very important. And I hope that you go back to your bosses and say, we got to do something for those people because in a few years there could be a lot of deaths. And I'm concerned about my 9-year-old, I'm concerned about my husband, I'm concerned about me, but I'm also concerned about all my neighbors. So,
Dr. Nordella, thank you for finally bringing a human element into these thousands of people who've been suffering.
Yes.
My 17-year resident of Porter Ranch, my name's Lori Avazian. My family suffered from every single symptom that you have listed there during the blowout. We finally left middle of January in fear for our lives. Our symptoms, for the most part, under doctor's care, went away while we were gone. They come right back when we would return. When we did move back home, the only symptom that we hadn't suffered, besides dry skin, we did have, when we returned home, I started getting horrible rashes. Have you seen that in others, and do you have any explanation for it?
Are you talking about the reoccurrence of coming back and you develop
Coming
rashes?
back and then developing rashes
have
that
rashes?
I've never had before in my life.
Even post the blowout, post the exposure?
During the exposure, no. When we moved back home,
Okay, so let me
after